Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
And here this morning we have advice from Sven and Oli, and they said the following: limit all U.S. politicians to 2 terms, yeah. 1 in office, yeah. 1 in prison, yeah. Illinois already does this, and it seems to be working for them very well. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning, morning, morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and God Bless America. Good morning on a Wednesday. I got to get my days right today because yesterday I thought it was Monday, and never mind anyway. Today is Wednesday, September 4th, and I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center, serving you all 7 locations, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today, 734-6969. Without further ado, we jump across the river and through the woods to Gina's house we go. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, sir.
How are we coming through?
Not too bad. I got the man with the master plan on the issue, and so he's just going to keep a listen, and I've pretty much done everything I can do here. So.
Okay, yeah, it might be what's being fed down the line to me because it's real fuzzy, but anyway, yeah. I'm sure Jerry will check it out.
Yes, he will.
Do we, on this Wednesday morning, have a caller to be our pledge?
We do. We have somebody who is new. I have never taken his call before, so I do believe his name is Art Smith. That is what's calling up on the caller ID.
Oh.
And then we do have Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
All right, well, let's go to right now. I hear the train a-coming. It's coming down the tracks. Here's Art Smith. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Zeb. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can't let you leave without just doing a line or two of that. I hear the train. Go ahead.
I hear the train a-coming. It's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when.
There you go. There's the man. There's the man, Art Smith. You bet. I love it. Thank you, Art. God bless you, man. Thank you.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. I love the way he sings that. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get all set to get the weather forecast, and it's brought to you by Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. They've got all your deciduous trees, and they've got everything you need to beautify your property. They've got all the pots. They've got everything over there. You got to stop in. It's 39 acres of heaven, honestly. Corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. Rock Creek Growers with the Anderson family. Nice people. 423-6800. Here now is MichaelRogersWeather.com, and the answer to our burning question, Michael, is yes.
You know what, Zeb? I've been with you for 5 years now, and you get all these people, and I'm supposed to top Johnny Cash? I mean, I'm supposed to top Johnny Cash.
I'll tell you what, Art does a good job.
Yeah, he does, and I'm going to sit up here and tell you it's going to be sunny high 86, and that's it. How am I supposed to top Johnny Cash.
Well, you did, though, in a way, because you gave us a weather forecast that I didn't expect. What about the thunder bumpers that are in the area?
You're still going to get the bumpers. Summertime. We're not done yet. We're almost done with the North American monsoon. Good morning, everybody. You're still going to get them. The winter forecast for 2013-2014 came out. I'm not going to give you that prognostication. I hope I use that word correctly, until Monday, once I go through it. But not looking good for being wet, this much I can tell you. But other than that, thunder bumpers are still going to be around, scattered. But for today, going all the way through the weekend, you're going to see a lot of clouds. I mean, a lot of sun, very little clouds. And the good part is that temperatures are going to be in the 80s. So, have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Yeah, buddy. The trains are coming.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, there you go. Rock Creek Growers bringing you MichaelRogersWeather.com. Corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. The number to call, the Anderson family over there at Rock Creek Growers, 423-6800. Man, we've got a lot of things cooking, and cooking is what I'm going to talk about in just a minute, because next Wednesday, don't miss the Ramsey Heating and Electric remote broadcast, and it's going to start earlier than my airtime. Yeah, it is. What we're going to do is George Mast, the world's greatest Chef Boyardee, is going to be cooking breakfast over there right in front of Ramsey Heating and Electric at 7 o'clock in the morning. Biscuits and gravy. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be there. You can bet on that. Coffee, milk, orange juice. It's only $3. Only $3, and all the net proceeds go to the 3rd annual Zeb at the Ranch Christmas for Kids and the Youth for Liberty. So don't miss that. And now, I also want to tell you about Daryl's Cleaners. I think I got a whole rack over there of clothes that I took in there a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sorry, Kevin, Cindy, and everybody. I got to come get them. I'm late. I'm sorry. You take your clothes in there, and you're going to be absolutely amazed. You're going to be astounded. You're going to be backed right up against the door saying, why, those aren't my clothes. They look too nice. That's what happens. Every time you take those rumply crumplies in there, they come back looking brand new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Also, as you know, I am not, nor do I want to be, a computer aficionado. That is not my bailiwick. But Deanne and Gina, they keep chiding me to try to do certain things on the computer. I know my limitations. Anyway, I know also that the best that we could possibly get in here for an internet service is SafeLink high-speed wireless internet. Absolutely the best. And they've got packages that will fit your budget, and I'll guarantee you they've got the best in people with professional installation. Call them at 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000, SafeLink high-speed wireless internet. You get a hold of them today. All right, now it's your turn. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is going to be a very serious hour this morning because I spent the bulk of about an hour ago putting down my pen and paper and getting ready for this program, and listened to the news conference over in Sweden with our President Obama being asked questions about Syria. And the more I listen to this man, the more I find this administration to be lacking in any professionalism. And the more I listened to the hearing yesterday with Secretary of State John Kerry and some of our military, it left me with a real feeling of, I don't really know who's running the henhouse. I was really concerned about some of the answers that were given by Kerry, and some that were given by the military. Now, there can't be anybody, and if there is somebody out in the audience, I will treat you with respect and take your call, but there really can't be anyone with common sense and a small knowledge of what's going on that wouldn't blame this absolute amateur administration for this pathetic mess that we're in. 30 months, over 2 years. They have known about Assad. They have known about his anti-humane policies. They have known about his not caring about who lives or dies in the streets of his cities within Syria. They have known. And the testimony in the hearings yesterday, as I said, left me very, very cold, with especially the pacifist, and that's what he was years ago, about the Vietnam War, Secretary of State John Kerry. And one thing that bothers me, folks, is the alluding, the stepping around, or the jumping over the fact that there may be some of our U.S. troops, boots on the ground. Now, they tried to avoid that as much as they could yesterday, but they still left the door open. The door is open just a crack, and it's letting the flies in. And after 2 years of doing nothing regarding Syria, now this amateur president, this totally amateur president, wants to tell, I got to get this figured out in my mind. Help me, somebody, please. How can you possibly tell the enemy what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and how long the invasion or the strike will last, and have it be effective so that this man doesn't just scoff and laugh at us, hide the chemical weapons, hide or move anything else of any value, and just, he must be giggling at us. Put yourself in Assad's thoughts for a few minutes. He knows he's going to probably get hit. He knows that this president has been a bungler and an apologizer. So Obama says, I'm going to wait now for Congress. Gives him more time to move, hide, and shield what he wants to protect. And then Obama says, well, we're going to strike here, we're going to strike for this duration and this long. The Assad government in Syria must absolutely be bending over laughing. Most of the people in military that I have talked to off of the radio, and the ones that I have talked to on this radio program, and the ones that I've talked to in their offices that represent high positions in our military, are absolutely mystified, stupefied as to how this president could be this amateur. What are your thoughts? When you look at the mess in Benghazi, I keep going back to that. It's going to be a year in just a couple of days that debacle occurred. Nobody's been arrested. Nobody's been brought to justice. And now I heard this morning that Secretary of State, former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton is probably going to get an award. And I'm going, what for? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. What if somebody of really great importance called you up and told you they were going to bomb your house 2 days from now? Well, let's make it 3 days. What would you do?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer to that would be, Keith, I would take anything and everything of value to me and move it to a location that would be unknown to my encroaching enemy, and I would sit back and say, okay, dum-dum, go ahead and let your bombs flow. It doesn't make any difference to me.
Right on. And that's exactly what Obama is doing. He doesn't have any support from anybody else, and we cannot, I repeat, we cannot go this alone.
Keith, why should we even be going at all? Answer that.
Well, I think if you were to check with Iraq and some of the places in Afghanistan where we've been, they're probably gassing people right there.
But my point, I want you to stay with my point. What is the reason? Why are we even thinking about getting involved in this mess? To me, and I'm normally kind of a belligerent, in-your-face type person, but this is a situation that could be the verge or the origination of Armageddon, Keith.
I realize that, and the rest of the world is watching it. We're in kind of a catch-22 situation. If we do nothing, then everybody laughs at us. If we do something, then everybody's going to hate us even more.
Yeah, but let's back up a step, and I know hindsight is golden, but you and I knew, as did this administration, about the impending doom and warring thoughts of Assad for the last 2.5 years.
We knew it was coming. It's just like Art Smith said. I can hear that train coming.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. But this administration was so amateur and so absolutely out of it They didn't do anything to address the problem, did they?
Like golfing.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good
You know,
point.
it's just we don't have an administration. We have chaos and confusion.
That's a very, very good chaos and confusion. Keith, well stated. Thank you for your call. I got another man waiting. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And I'm not kidding you. Next Wednesday is going to be a ripping good day. 911, salute to patriots, and also a salute to farmers. Come on by, and don't miss the breakfast at 7 o'clock. It's going to be ripping good. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. With all your electrical needs, over 57 years in business, please come on by and say howdy. We're going to have door prizes and all kinds of goodies at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Also, real fast, I want to remind you that I'm very, very honored. And also, coming up, and we're going to start the advertisements on this tomorrow, as a matter of fact, Valley White Home and Ranch is going to have a very special deal going also next Wednesday for Patriots Day. Don't miss it. I mean, we've got all kinds of things going on. Really good folks that care. They've got a great selection of pet food. You got dogs and kitty cats running all over your place. Well, feed them. And they've got all your pet food. And they've got all the new fall clothing coming in. The Carhartt jackets. Nothing better than a Carhartt when the wind turns chilly. Stop over to Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Absolutely the best people and the best of everything in the store. For the family, the farm, and the home, you stop in. Valley White Home and Ranch in Rupert. Caller, good morning. Thank you for your patience.
Yes. Good morning, Zeb. Well, the going got tough, and Obama disappeared. The prudent thing to do would have been kept his mouth shut about Syria. And these people over there, whoever, are willing to fight for their own country and their own rights. We should have quietly set tank busters over there, surface air missiles, and let them go at it and keep us out of it.
Okay, but now, Tony, where do we go from here? I mean, this administration, where they're absolutely pie in the face like a clown and a buffoon attitude, what do they do? I'm afraid that when we get involved, it's going to be a surge of just us. I'm afraid that it's going to be more than just a silly little attack and then draw our horns back and say, well, that's it, we showed them, didn't we? Ha, ha, ha. I'm afraid that we're going to have boots on the ground. I'm afraid it's going to be like quicksand and suck us in the same way it did in Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and everywhere else.
Yes, don't forget Korea and the rest of these places.
Yeah.
But anyway, they should have kept their mouth shut and just not got us sucked into it. These people have been fighting over there for years and years. And I don't care what we do, we're not going to cure anything. We should have stayed out of it and just helped support the rebels over there, and that would have been all we should have done.
Okay, but what do we do? I mean, this man is, he's talking this morning, as a matter of fact. He was on the air less than an hour ago, and he was telling everybody about how he's going to handle it, and basically, I think he's going to end up going alone because I don't think the Brits are going to get involved. So what's going to happen, man? I said it earlier, and I maintain I'm right. This could be the possible beginning of Armageddon, Tony.
Oh, it could be. There's really nothing we can do. He shot his mouth off a long time ago, and then you get guys like Kerry don't know what they're doing.
Isn't that disgusting?
Hazel doesn't know what he's doing. They should have backed out of this thing a long time ago, and if they were going to do anything at all a long time ago before they stuck their foot in this quagmire they're in, was to support the rebels over there and stay over it. Now it's too late.
Well, let me ask you this, and I'm going to start a little survey here this morning. Do you think we should just pull out, go, not have anything to do with it, or get in? Yes or no? Just a yes or a no?
We've got no choice right now but to go in and to go it alone, and then the first thing we do is we shoot off a rocket and hit one of their buildings over there. We're going to end up with another Marshall Plan that's going to cost the United States billions and billions of dollars to fix.
Yeah, I agree. You
know, so he's already lost his credibility. The United States has lost its credibility, and it's too late. So
all right.
Just go in there, drop a bomb or two, and forget about it.
All right, Tony. Well, listen, you're always appreciated on this program. God bless you. Have a good day, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't forget JB's 136 East 5th North in Burley. Wow. Daniel and the rest of the crew, they care. They care about your service. They care about the food. They care about everything at JB's. And when you go in there and have your meal, you're just going to sit down and enjoy the folks. The service is absolutely phenomenal. Terry and the rest of the folks really take care of you. And it's been our home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch for many, many years. And Daniel just has been an outstanding host. Don't forget to stop in at JB's today, 136 East 5th North in Burley. Great food, great people. You're going to love it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir.
That deal in Syria is asinine. We want to send our troops over there to defend the Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood. They've killed us. They've murdered us, and yet we should care whether they get gassed. To me, I don't give a damn. The Obama's defunded and cut back with military, yet he wants to involve them. This don't make sense.
George, you're a former veteran, and you do so much for the POW-MIA organization. And I've never known a veteran that would ever turn away from a fight, and you would not certainly ever turn from a fight. But in this case, why are we taking on a fight that cannot be won, and all it's going to be is a door opener, like I've said twice already, to possible Armageddon?
Yes, that's true. There's two wars you can't win. That's political or religious. And, I've said this many times, that let's go over there and kick ass and get out of there. We can do it in a heartbeat and wouldn't lose very many people.
Yeah.
But you put rules of engagement on it, you cannot win.
But, George, as a former military veteran, the stupidity, the asinine, absolute amateur stupidity of telling the enemy when, where, how, I've never heard anything so ludicrous.
No, and they've been doing that since this administration come in.
Yeah.
And it's, I honestly feel that Obama wants, and his administration wants the Muslims to take over the world. I believe that. I was up in Haley over the weekend, and I met with some people up there that's got some pretty close ties to some people in Afghanistan, and they were sitting over there laughing their butts off at us.
Yeah.
How stupid we are. It's just asinine.
George, I got another call, but I do appreciate your thoughts. God bless you, my friend.
All right,
Thank you. Caller, real quick, because then I've got a hard break at the bottom of the hour. Go ahead.
There's lots of things about this Syria deal, but I want to pass one thing by you that I think we're forgetting. It's the adults over there that's fighting. It's not the children, it's the adults. And what made me bawl the other night on TV is watching those lines and lines of little children that are dead. Now, I know it'll never happen, but the little children have nothing to do with this. It's the dadgum adults that are fighting. It's too bad we can't go over there and pull all those little children out of that situation. What do you think?
No, stay on the line with me, because I'm got to make a hard break, and I'm going to ask you a favor. Will you please stay on the line for about 90 seconds until I can finish this hard break, and I want to come back and talk to you about this. You bring up an excellent point. Would you stay with me?
Yes.
All right, stay on the line. Thanks. Don't forget Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 south of Hayburn, right there at Jim McCall's farm, 438-8730. I'm telling you, grease guns, Lincoln cordless grease guns, and all the grease to go with it. Window wash for the trucks and harvest. Man, you can't drive with a dirty windshield. And Bubba ropes. They've got all the Bubba ropes. You got to stop over and get a Bubba rope to get out of the muck. That's right, and they can clean your air filters, too. They do it all at Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 south of Hayburn, 438-8730. Caller's going to stay with us, and we're going to be right back, because right now it's time for the Ag Minute, brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley. Here's the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
An insurance expert who helped draft President Obama's health care reform believes the law could lead small farmers who already offer employee health plans to drop their policies. Between January and September 2009, Chris Condoleezza aided the bipartisan effort to lay the bill's foundation as Republican tax counsel to the U.S. Senate Financial Committee, helping write rules governing the new health insurance exchanges and the controversial employer mandate. He says farmers that employ 50 or fewer full-time equivalent employees won't be required to provide insurance coverage. For farmers who now offer insurance and plan to continue to do so, the law will impose specific coverage requirements and may make those plans too expensive. This is Hannah Brose.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
If you need to recycle something, don't forget you can get rid of your old computers, electronics, old car batteries, old cars, trucks, everything. They pay top dollar for scrap iron, tin, aluminum cans, computers, batteries, and cars, and so much more at Pacific Steel and Recycling. Wonderful people. Stop in and see them today. Good folks, 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Caller on the air, I appreciate your patience this morning. Thank you very much. But you brought up a subject that, boy, if I'm going to get bubbly-eyed, it's going to be over the kids. I saw the videos, watched the videos, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, cried on the videos of these children being gassed and laying in lines to be buried in mass graves. But my question back to you is, what do we do? I did not want to get involved in Syria. I did not want to get in a lot of the conflagrations in the Middle East because of the fact that I think it's nothing more than quicksand. Anybody that gets involved over there is going to lose. What are your thoughts? What do we do from now on, this day forward? What do we do?
Well, I don't know. You know, Keith had an idea. But he had a thought where it's a catch-22. It's too bad. See, my thinking of getting those children out of there won't work because there's too much red tape between going over and getting them and bringing them back, and the Syrian government would have a hizzy fit and everything else, and customs and everything else. But I don't know. You can hear me stammering. I don't know what to do. Other than it's too bad we can't get in there by military force and take those kids out of there.
Well, now, wait a minute. You're not stammering because you're doing much better than Obama and Kerry and the military people that were at the hearings and Obama at the press conference this morning. They've had 30 months, my friend, 30 months, over 2 years, to address this problem, know this problem was going to escalate, know that Assad was nothing more than a trained killer, know that the administration over there was going to turn weapons on their own people. Why wasn't this problem looked at and addressed, maybe by sending in special teams, special forces that could have eliminated and or blown up or taken care of special things over there that wouldn't have involved the general public? I'm just saying this, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong. This administration is so doggone amateur and unknowledgeable. That's why we're in the problem we're in today.
Zeb, if I was there, I'd give you a hug and a slap on the back. I'm 1,000% in agreement with you, buddy. It all boils down to the adults are a bunch of ding-a-lings, and there's a man in there that doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, I do appreciate your patience in staying on the air, but right now, I couldn't agree with you more that when the sadness, the absolute heart-wrenching sadness of seeing these young children dying, expiring because of the chemical gas and the lines and lines of bodies, and I'm sitting there going, I put as much blame on Obama and this country for not doing anything earlier as I do Assad. I really do. I feel that way.
I agree with you. I don't know what to do. I usually don't break down too often, but the Lord Jesus Christ is probably very, very concerned about the children, but they're in better hands now, maybe. Maybe that's something I need to look at in a different view. So anyway, hey, have a good day. Sir,
thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it. I saw that video, the amateur videos. You have to pardon me a minute. Hold on. And I saw these younger kids writhing and dying. And then the rows and rows of bodies, and I thought, you know what? Governments are so absolutely pathetically stupid. What they ought to do, and I know this sounds simplistic, why don't they take, hold on, caller, why don't they take Assad, and why don't they take Obama? Put them in a ring and see who walks out of the ring, instead of involving all the innocent people and all the military and all the wounding and all the blowing up of the limbs, all the destruction of all the land and the property. And why don't they just take these two leaders and put them in a ring and say, Have at it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Two things. Why have we got our big fat nose in everybody's business? Number two, how many ships have we got over there? How long would it take them to sink every one of our ships? And believe you me, they're looking at it.
Helen, let me go back to your first part of your statement. And you are one of my dearest friends. And don't take this as antagonistic against your attitude. But I would much rather have us, the United States of America, be the world's policeman than I would Russia, than I would Syria, or North Korea. But we've got to act like we know what we're doing and do it in a manner that the dog is not going to try to bite the owner.
It's a sad fact in this old world that we need a police force. But I agree with you. I would rather be the one with finger on the trigger than some of those other idiots, and I say idiots, that people this world.
Okay, but now I need to have you answer my question. What do we do from here on in? Do we go in this little bitty, well, we're going to hit them here, and we're going to take about an hour and blow over here with some bombs, and then we're going to pull out. Boy, we're going to show them. Or do we just go in and knock the living hell out of them, Helen?
You know, that is something that I don't have any idea. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. But I'll tell you one thing. All it's going to be is a third world war.
I agree.
I mean, Obama wants the whole world as Muslims, and so does Soros, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
I cannot argue, nor would I want to, with your opinion. Thank you, Helen. Helen, I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Have
God
a good
bless.
day.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. It's my firm belief that we ought to get out. Completely get out. We are not the world's policemen. And
no, wait a minute, Carl. Wait a minute.
When we go in there, like some people want to, and knock the living hell out of them, we've got to have boots on the ground.
Carl, just a second though. Give me the grace. Give me the grace of just interrupting you, and the apology to interrupt you. But you made a comment I do disagree with you on, and I want you to pursue it. I think that the United States has been and should remain the world's policeman for fairness, equity, and humane treatment. Who else would take over that would treat people in the same manner?
Zeb, I'm war weary. We've been at war for, 40 years now, 50 years, 60 years. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of spending our tax money for people to take advantage of us. And they are by the oil and what have you.
I cannot argue your position because I have empathy and sympathy for your position. But when I look around the world and I look at this little fat pig that is the North Korean leader, when I look around the world and I see Putin that likes to run around shirtless and show and flex his muscles on a flabby body, when I look around the world and I see people like Assad, when I look around the world and I see the absolute laughable administrations they have in Iraq and Iran, and I think to myself, my goodness, if we stop being the world's policeman, those punks and thugs will take over. Carl, that scares me even worse.
Well, in a way, I agree with you, Zeb. But in another way, I'm tired of spending we're in debt so far for doing this, and then they're charging us more for their oil, so we can go do it. I'm exasperated, to be honest with you.
And I can't argue your point, Carl, because you and I are such dear friends. I agree with your position, but I think you have to consent to agree with me on one point. It's because of the American public voting in on emotion and color the first so-called African-American president. Oh, we love this guy, etc. When they didn't look past his nose to his ideology and his politics, that's why we're in the problem we are today.
That's part of it. He started in a hole, and he just kept digging it deeper.
For all of us.
I agree with you.
Carl, there's no way that I can, or no road I want to argue your point of view, because I think that you bring up some excellent points. I just think right now we're at a point of no return. We're at that point of no return where the plane has to even go further or we have to turn back. I mean, we're at that point of no return. I don't know what to do, but I know one thing. Whatever it is, it has to be decisive.
I agree with that.
Carl, God bless you for your thoughts. You're always welcome. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't go away. Valley White Home and Ranch is going to have Patriots Day next September 11th. Proud to be an American. Don't forget that. And George Mass is going to be leaving over to Ramsey's early in the morning cooking breakfast, and he's going to run over to Valley White, and he's going to be cooking his famous hamburgers and hot dogs. You can buy one hamburger or 2 hot dogs for only $1. Hey, and get a free Pepsi. All the proceeds go to the MIA POWs of Rupert. Oh my goodness. And they've got specials going on, like all boots, buy 1 pair, get 1 pair half off, and 20% off on cinched jeans. Don't miss it. Valley Wine Home and Ranch next Wednesday, Patriots Day. Be there. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zep.
I'm glad you called.
Be the police.
I'm glad you called, because I was hoping you would, because you always add a very conscientious mindset to the problems that are going on. Feel free to tell me I'm dead wrong on this, Kilt Man, because I don't know the answers this morning. I don't think anybody does.
I don't disagree with you at all, okay? But I've got to throw one hitch on it, okay? This is getting Obama's foot in the door, I'm afraid, to where he can put our troops a long ways away to where he can start taking more control of this country, and nobody can do anything about it because everybody will be over there. He'll send the ones that he wants over there, keep the ones here that he wants over here, and then he can do what he dang well pleases, and we're going to be in a world of hurt.
You know, there's another aspect to that, and the next caller that's waiting in line, have patience. Don't hang up. I'll be right with you. But, Kilt Man, isn't it absolutely insane that this man is hell-bent on cutting the military budget? I was just reading a story in Newsmax magazine this morning before the program, and yet he's involving us deeper and deeper into quagmires all around the globe.
Well, that's exactly right. He's doing exactly that, and that feeds right into what I'm saying. He is eliminating the people here that he does not want, the people that he knows won't do what he tells them to do. Okay, the people that have a moral standard. All right, he's doing that, and then he's going to send the ones that are still in there that do have a moral standard. He's going to send them clerks halfway across the globe. And who's he going to have here? Homeland Security?
Yeah.
What do we got to look forward to?
I'm just shaking my head this morning in dismay, because I have no respect for this president, and I take heat for that. People send me emails, they damn me, they condemn me, etc. I'll say it again, I have no respect for this president. I have no respect for his leadership. I have no respect for his knowledge. I have no respect for his ideology. I have no respect whatsoever for John Kerry. I have disliked, and I will use this word, hated him for his un-American thoughts way back to Vietnam. And this is what we're stuck with. America deserves better than the garbage that's leading this country.
I agree. I mean, right now, it's basically people, watch your back.
Yeah.
I know watch your back. And the thing is, what I want to throw out there is, people, you guys took an oath. Anybody in the military, everybody in government and stuff like that, they took an oath. They made a promise. And guess what, people? It's time to hold to your promise.
Amen. I appreciate your call as always, Kilt Man. Thank you.
All right.
I'm going to hold off on the weather just for about another 2 minutes. This call's been patient and waiting. Go ahead. Good morning. You're on the air.
the thing that is alarming, but what's new with this arrogant, and yeah, he's incompetent, but he's actually getting everything he wants. It's almost ingenious how they're doing this and getting what they want, and nobody, and the Republicans stand idly by with their mouths shut on purpose. But he said yesterday, I don't need approval from the UN Security Council, and even I feel that I don't even need approval from Congress. And this is what he said. This is not a verbatim, but these are exactly in essence what he said. Now, he didn't need approval from anybody. The reason why he wants approval from Congress is in case this thing blows up, he can blame the Republicans. I'm telling you, Zeb, the gutless Republicans who stand by, and one of them's going to be here in a couple days in the Moorish Steakhouse, Mr. Simpson. When are they going to stand up and stop this guy?
All right, Randy, let's stop and put a period right there for a minute. You brought up an excellent point. I looked at the Lindsey Grahams, and I looked at the John McCains, and John should have been turned out to pasture a long time ago. And I look at the weak-kneed the right side of the aisle, the Republicans, and I look at this situation and I'm going, hey, you know what? Congress, along with this administration, a big dustpan and a broom, America needs to clean up its act. America needs to clean up its political landscape. America needs to get statesmen involved in politics and not people that are just nothing more than political hacks that are doing nothing more than just lining their pockets. I am so fed up with politics right now. I'm so fed up with politicians. After your call yesterday, I'm going to say this on the air. After your call yesterday about me possibly entertaining the thought of calling Mike Simpson's office and getting him on my program before tomorrow, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to call him. If he wants to get airtime, and he wants to talk about a possible re-election, and he wants to talk about Benghazi, and he wants to talk about now Syria, and he wants to talk about anything else, let him call me. I am not going to be the dog chasing a parked car. I am sick and tired of catering to these people in three-piece suits and wingtip shoes. Let them call me.
See, this is the thing. When our football teams don't do as well as they should, people are instantly calling for the head of the coach, so to speak. And it across the nation, they pack these, these stadiums full, and the price to pay is, in some cases, is just unbelievable. And people do need a release.
Yeah, well, make your point. Make your point about how it applies to politicians. Make your point quickly.
This is my point. They're instantly calling for the head of the coach, but they couldn't give a you-know-what about what happens to their country. They don't even have any idea what's going on. The apathetic morons and useful idiots like John Kerry and the rest of them are, and you and I are fighting, and the patriots across this nation are worried and concerned, and these people couldn't care less.
And the point is well taken from what you just said. But you know something? I am not going to chase after these guys. I am not going to chase after Mike Simpson. I am not going to chase after Jim Risch or Mike Crapo or anybody else. I'm providing a service for them to get their voices out, and I'll make sure the time is equal. But for Mike Simpson to come in here and beg and plead for a re-election, when really he's got so many holes in his screen door, he better start amplifying why he did certain things, especially over the Michelle Bachmann and the Muslim Brotherhood issue. But we have people here that are going to fawn all over him. We have people here in this area that are going to go up and backslap him and shake hands and go, oh, Mr. Congressman, we love you. But you know what? Let's really look at the person and let's look at his issues and let's see what he's done, what he's really done to deserve to be reelected, Randy.
Nothing, and it's, again, the people have to wake up, and like I say, they're more knowledgeable about football and whatever than they are about their own country, and it's slipping away, and they're just so distracted that It don't matter.
I am sick and tired of treating these people like there's something special, like the king and queen of Siam have just arrived. Roll out the red carpet, move the boats away from the harbor, let the people come in and take over. I'm sick of that attitude, and quite frankly, I'm taking my wrath out on Mike Simpson right now. I got to run. Thanks, Randy. I appreciate it.
There's one more thing, quick.
Real fast.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but when President Bush was president, they gave him a mile or 5 miles of safety. With this president, they give him 10 miles of protection. In other words, the safety zone that he travels in is 10 miles in circumference.
Yeah.
And you think about that. The money we spent to protect this pompous, you-know-what, I'm telling you, thanks, I'll hang up.
All right, Randy, thank you much. Time for weather, and boy, I got to calm down, too. I'm just absolutely fed up with politicians that think that they are a part of the hierarchy, that think they're better than the people that put them into office, that think they're more knowledgeable. They are supposed to be representing the ideals and the goals and the constituents' thoughts when they go in their office. Let's have a weather update right now, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Reese Widmeyer, the manager, with the Sportsman's Warehouse for all your hunting, fishing, camping, backpacking, everything you need. They've got the best of everything. Friendly experts, quality gear, and down-home attitude. You're going to love going in there. Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. It's going to be one of those situations where, in fact, I just found out the winter forecast for the 2013-2014 year, and not to take up a lot of your time, because I'm not going to waste your time and take it for granted. It's looking pretty good for us. Not that wet, but then again, that's not good because we need the wet. Where am I going with this? Well, getting ready to get into winter, but right now we got a nice day, and it's going to take us through the weekend. Look for a high today in the low 80s, make that the mid-80s, and it'll take us all the way through Saturday. So other than that, have yourself a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you, everybody, by Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. The great indoors for those that love the great outdoors. I want to say this so that you understand where I'm coming from. And I'm not two-faced, and I'm certainly not going to change my spots. If Mike Simpson or anybody else wants to come on this program, they call me. I am not going to chase these people. If it boils down to where he's teed off at me over his remarks regarding the Muslim Brotherhood and calling us that question the Muslim Brotherhood McCarthyists, I'm not going to have him back on the program. If it means that I don't get 1 red cent of advertising money from his campaign for his re-election, I don't care. I've lived without the money before. I'll live without it in the future. But they're going to have to come to me. I'm not going to go to them. Don't forget a great big huge tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And I mean, they've got a great big tire sale going on right now. They've got some passenger car tires right now that are starting at just $39.99. I'm not kidding. This is a fact. And they've got the light truck and SUV Wildcat AT2 for just starting at $117.15. Smooth, quiet riding. Get you where you want to go and get you back home. You check it out at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires, the best in brake service, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, everything but service always reigns supreme. Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, Mike in Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Go ahead.
I've been watching all that fiasco yesterday, and I'll tell you, I'm totally disgusted with Mr. Kerry. What he did in Vietnam, I got no use for the man, never have. That's what our problem is. We've got people that are gutless.
Al, let me stop you there for a second. You and I have watched the tapes many, many times of John Kerry while he was back from Vietnam and how he basically was condemning and damning the United States. And then this man becomes Secretary of State? How short-sighted are we?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, is we are so short-sighted that we have to let this kind of crap in there as our leaders. For hell's sakes, people, wake up to the fact we're being led down a path of destruction. Ain't somebody got guts enough besides, well, Mr. McCain, why don't you resign and go back to Arizona and out with the desert rats? You're a disgrace to your Republican Party.
Well,
same with Lindsey Graham.
There's a disgrace.
I would have fired Rich yesterday. He stood up for what the American people think.
I was just going to say the same thing. Jim Risch has, and he stated yesterday, that he has great reservations about what's going on. And while the other ones, like Lindsey Graham and John McCain, seem to be bowled over by the Oval Office and the coffee cups, and I'm sick and tired of their attitude. Al, always appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Have a gooder.
Sir, thank you. Caller, good morning. I've only got a minute left. Go ahead.
Okay, back in 1954, there was an operation called Operation Vulture, in which the Americans went in to assess the problem of the French being bogged down in Vietnam. And Lyndon Johnson and this General Caldera went in there to assess this problem, and they found out that they had, if they were going to get support from all these other nations, they would be able to go up into North Vietnam and bomb the hell out of them. But they soon found out that they weren't going to get any support from any of these other countries, so they dropped it. And this is what's going to happen here in Syria.
Yeah.
We're going to find out, we're going to go in, and we're not going to have any support from anybody.
And isn't that exactly, Tony, I'm out of time, but isn't that exactly what the rest of the world that hates us wants to happen? They want to see us go alone. They want to see us surrounded like Custer's Last Stand. That's what the will is of these other countries.
That's right. They're going to pull us down, and as long as we've got this banana up there in the White House, we're doomed.
Got to run to the news. Tony, thank you for your call. Appreciate it.
Okay.
We're going to take a little break right now, and I'm just really upset about this situation and where we're at, where we're headed, and no leadership whatsoever. Very amateuristic. Very amateuristic. We'll be back in 6. Oh, well, we made a lot of friends last hour. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, and they include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, every free man. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Those 4 words sum it up right there. Whether you need porta potties, or whether you need dumpsters, or whether you need to get on the route service, or whatever it is, they'll take care of it. Trash collection, get on that route service. Believe me, we've been on their route service for years. So dependable, so great. And they can help you with anything. Please call them today, 734-6969. If you're cleaning up the garage, they got all the dumpsters in various sizes. I mean, just call them and tell them what you need. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. You call them today. And before we go with our guest this half hour, I also want to remind you about Hanson Mortuary and Joel Heward, owner-manager of an organization of people that really, really care. They have and acknowledge the solemn responsibility they have to provide families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and always, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please contact them today. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636, 436-5636. Well, I look forward to Wednesdays. I'm still not getting in the swing of things by having Monday as a holiday. I almost said Tuesday. Yeah, you almost caught me, I know. And but I have on Wednesdays a very dear friend of mine from Colorado get on the program, and we discuss what's going on in world events, current affairs, and that's Doug Johnson. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
I'm good, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm not going to pull any punches with you this morning, Doug. I'm very upset, and I'll tell you why I'm upset, and maybe this doesn't bother you as much as it does me. But for 30 months, over 2 years, this administration had more than many opportunities and advantages to make sure this situation in Syria didn't blow over like it has, not have the teapot have water all over the stove, and we've done nothing through a very amateuristic administration, the worst, I think, in our nation's history. And now with the Secretary of State that was a pacifist that absolutely hated America back in Vietnam, sitting there at a hearing yesterday, I wanted to punch the television out. I absolutely think we are in the middle of what could possibly turn into Armageddon with no leadership at all for this country. Your thoughts tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I would agree and disagree with some of the things you said, Zeb, so I'm going to give you a couple points in my answer, but let me preface it by saying your last point about heading us towards Armageddon. The Bible says in Isaiah 17 that at some point in the end times, Damascus will be destroyed. It will be so leveled that the streets, there'll be nobody in the streets to remove the wild animals from wandering through the streets. So could this be the prelude to that? I don't know, but it's rather interesting to know that this city that's been around for well over 5,000 years at some point will be destroyed. But going directly to your question about our intervention and all that, I guess I raise a couple of issues. First of all, I'm not defending this administration for 1 second, but I will say that this is not just for 30 months. We have known since about 2006 or 7 that Assad was a problem dictator, that he was following the path of his father. For the first 5 or 6 years he was in power, we weren't sure. We were hoping there'd be reforms, but then we started to see in 2006 or 7 there were problems. However, we also do not know that he gassed his people. This is what our administration is saying, what a lot of people are saying, but there's a lot of evidence that says otherwise. We know, for example, Kerry and Obama are saying they don't have the technology, the rebels, to come up with chemical weapons. But they forget that back in last year, about a year ago right now, Foreign Policy magazine reported that the U.S. had lost track of some Syrian chemical weapons, and they didn't know if they'd gotten in the hands of Syrian rebels or Iranian forces that were operating inside their country. And the Associated Press, just in this past month, has reaffirmed that story. But I guess the bigger issue to me, Zeb, is not just that we don't know really who set off these gases, because that's still yet to be proven. I think the bigger question, and people don't like to hear this, is I think you're a lot like me, Zeb. We want to stand up for the underdog. And so we see people being harmed, we want to stand up. But we need to remember that America cannot be the world, and has never been the world's policeman until recent history. Even Ronald Reagan wouldn't stand up to the worst dictator since Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin, which was Pol Pot in Cambodia, who killed 3 million of his people, and Reagan did not do anything about it because Reagan understood that our founding fathers never envisioned we would rule the world as a nation, or that our Constitution makes a provision for that. And so the question comes, if we go after one, then do we go after North Korea and Iran, and where does the list end? So I think we have a lot of questions here that go far beyond the incompetence of this administration.
Okay, now, you've stated your case, and I'm going to state part of mine. I asked this question last hour, and I'm going to stand behind my question, Doug. If it's not the United States that acts as the Matt Dillon of Dodge City, who? Are we going to let the chubby little dictator over in North Korea? Are we going to let Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan? Are we going to let Pakistan? Are we going to let now Assad? I mean, someone's going to take over that's the bad guy. Somebody's going to take over that's the Jesse James and Billy the Kid gang, and they're going to try to rule the world. So if we don't try to help police the world and aid and assist other peoples in other countries, who?
Well, I think it's a good question. I used to ask the same question. I don't anymore as I've looked back at our founding and realized that my desire to stand up for the underdog does not fall in line with what our country was created for or what we do. We are to provide a refuge to people to come here to enjoy the freedoms and such that we do, and we stand up to a point, but the point is that most of the world is bad and evil. Most of the world has problems, and we don't have the resources or the wherewithal to go out and do this because, and you mentioned North Korea after I had, North Korea is far worse than Syria to their people, and we do nothing about it. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of all the countries throughout history, just in modern day times, that we could go after, and we aren't capable of doing that. So why do we choose one over the other? Is it possible that, because there is speculation now, that really there's pressure being put on by some other Saudi countries to overthrow the Assad regime so that they can run a natural gas pipeline from Qatar up through Syria to export into other parts of the world, such as Russia and Europe and so on and so forth? Is it possible that there's pressure being put on for the U.S. to intervene because of that? We don't really know the whole story, and I've become a great skeptic, and even more so since this president came into office.
Yeah, but I will throw this at you, and I will submit this as a okay, but here. Since Obama took over, and I mean this because I do not like the man at all. I do not like his ideology. I've stated this, and I don't like his politics. Since he has become president, and now into his second term, we as a country are no longer respected. And when I say the word respect, I mean feared. Because we have been on an apology tour with Obama. We have been on a tour with Obama that says basically, oh, we're so sorry for our past transgressions. Please forgive us. I don't like that. I never feel like we owe anybody in this world an apology. And that's why other countries, little third-rate countries, are coming up to us and kicking us in the shins because they don't respect us anymore.
I think you're right, they don't, but I don't think allowing Obama to go and bomb a country with a couple of cruise missiles that will do nothing, he's already told them a whole plan of action, or his whole plan of action, it's not going to do much, it's not going to cause respect. People will laugh even more at the fact that we lob a few missiles and nothing else happens. I think the way we get world respect back is we start by getting respect within our own country for our government, and that means we start with 2014, electing a Congress that will then hold our president accountable, and then we replace him in 2016 with a president that will do the job that's supposed to stand up for the Constitution. That's the only way we're going to get world respect, not by taking military action.
See, now, Doug, I kind of baited you a little bit this morning because, see, you and I are, and my listeners know from the first hour, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in Syria. I don't want to have the opportunity of having any of our men and women with their potential boots on the ground. I don't want that. All I'm saying is that the amateuristic attitude, this absolutely elementary or kindergarten attitude of Obama, has really created a bigger mess in Syria. You don't tell the enemy, well, now after 30 months of observing this, we think we're going to go in on next Wednesday. We think we're going to lob a couple of these bombs or these Warhawks in there. We think we're going to do this, and give the enemy time to say, okay, fine, we'll just shuttle our stuff someplace else. This is incompetency, Doug. I don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. But what do we do now?
Well, that's a great question, and I think, regardless of how it looks to the world, whether Obama was rattling sabers and does anything or not, isn't the point. We need to do what's right, and what's right is we need to get to the bottom and find out who's responsible. I think there's a very great chance the al-Qaeda-related Syrian rebels are behind this, and they're trying to frame Assad because they know they don't have the strength to overpower his regime. But if they can get the U.S. and some other nations to come in and put the pressure on, do some military action, they can force him out of power. They then take control of the country. That's my personal suspicion. But I think we're in a tough situation. I haven't even had a chance to finish reading it. I know you know Brigitte Gabriel.
She's going to be on my program in the next couple of days.
I just started to read it before I came on your show, but I would encourage you to look it up and to get her on your show because I know you know her. And it would be well worth your audience's time to hear her on this issue. But I think we as a nation have a lot of repairs to do at home before we can make our stand in the world. Right now in the Middle East, we are absolutely disrespected, and I think the best thing we can do, and I will add, this president will not do it, Zeb, but the best thing we can do is build up our own oil industry, which would strengthen our own economy. We'd become an exporter. We have enough resources to export oil and natural gas to the rest of the world and be one of the largest, if not the largest exporter in the world. And then pull totally out of the Middle East, except for backing Israel when they need help. And we then have no interest there. It doesn't bother us what they do to each other. I think that's the strongest thing we could do as a nation.
All right, now, you mentioned Brigitte Gabriel, and I want to elaborate a little bit. Thanks to my lovely wife, to whom you've never met, but she's always on top of things. She, as we speak, is already talking with Brigitte's people to come on the air tomorrow morning live and do a show with me at 10:30 tomorrow morning, so I wanted to let you know that.
I'll have to tune in because Brigitte's always excellent, and I commend you for being on top of that because she certainly, being from the Middle East originally, has a viewpoint and has an understanding that most Americans can't even comprehend.
I agree with you. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air quickly with your question.
Hi. My first comment is, why don't you run for president, number one? And number two, what do you think of all these, like John Boehner, Eric Cantor, going into a private meeting with the president and then coming out persuaded that we really need to do this? It very much concerns me that they are that easily swayed or blackmailed or whatever, and I'm going to hang up and listen to your comments.
And before you answer that, Doug, I want to state this also about John Boehner and Lindsey Graham and John McCain. As far as I'm concerned, in cowboy philosophy and verbiage, turn these guys out to pasture because they have been absolutely nothing more than a couple of beach shoes flip-flopping down the boardwalk. My opinion, yours now, please.
Well, and I appreciate the comments from your very gracious caller. Zeb, one of the things, I'm sidetracking for just a second here. One of the things I love about your show is your callers, they not only pay attention to what you're talking about, but they're so well informed, and they have such a heart for America, and I love it. I love being on the radio with you because you've got a great audience, and I really appreciate that opportunity. But that said, I would say that my opinion of John Boehner, John McCain, and those types is that they are no better than our administration.
I agree.
They're of the same mold.
I agree.
They might wear a different label, but they're of the same mold when it comes to their politics. This is all about their power, and it's not about helping America. I'm sorry. I just don't make any bones about that. I just wrote on the HorseSenseBlog.com a new piece on Monday about the real problem in America, and it goes beyond them, and it goes beyond President Obama, I think. But I think this is where Americans need to wake up and realize it's time to quit thinking in terms of political parties and start thinking about qualified individuals, because we fall into the trap of assuming that if you have a certain label after your name, that makes you okay, and we can't do that anymore.
I agree with that. Doug, really, when you sit down and pick up a newspaper, I don't care if it's today's paper, yesterday's, or if it's a week from now, that paper is going to be full of questions that are unanswered. Whether it's Benghazi, almost a year, no arrests, nobody's been brought to justice, whether it's anything to do with Eric Holder and the Fast and Furious, whether it has anything to do with the IRS scandal, or whether it has anything to do with Obamacare and all the hidden taxes that are hitting us in the face. This administration has absolutely, I think, like a pretzel, tied us in knots as a country, and people right now don't know come here from Sikkim, and it's going to get worse every day.
Well, it absolutely is. Our country is in peril, is the best word I can think of. And I said in this blog post I just referenced, I'll talk about it for a second, that Obama is not the problem. If you think he is, you've missed the point. And I talk about the fact that America's problem really boils down to our mindset, and it boils down to becoming the nation we were created to be once again. And I've addressed this a couple times in recent blog posts, and I think it's important for us to start to focus differently. We need to think in a bigger picture than just this administration or just a certain politician. Every area has its problems. I'm in Colorado. We have serious problems politically here with the changes that have occurred in recent years. Mm-hmm. There's a recall election going on in 2 of the areas of the state that hopefully will be successful. But we have Michael Bloomberg and some other East Coast politicians pouring in huge amounts of money to make sure that the recall efforts don't succeed. The problems we face as a nation, Zeb, are so deep that we have to understand this is going to be a long-term, hard process. And even if we start working on it today, you and I aren't going to live long enough to see it totally succeed. This is going to take generations.
I agree. We got a caller with a question. Caller, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Zeb, I was wondering, I think Bonner was out here for a fundraiser for Mike Simpson, and he's going to owe him a little bit of debt. So I wonder, we better all of us call Mike and tell him to vote no on this thing.
I think that we all need to keep closer tabs to our political leadership, as be that as it may, whether it's Mike Simpson or Crapo or Risch or Labrador or our governor, whatever. And I'm asking and I'm imploring people to call and register their thoughts with like Mike Simpson, because it's us. It's us that really control the purse strings. It's us that control the votes, but we're just not taking advantage of our God-given rights in this country, and we're letting a minuscule amount of people lead us down a primrose path without our being involved. And that's a sin, and quite frankly, I think we deserve all the trouble we're getting. Go ahead, Doug.
I got Mike Simpson's phone number here if anybody would like it.
Go ahead and give it. I've got it right here on my desk, but I'll let you have the, go ahead, have the moment. Give it the number. Go ahead.
734-7219.
That's the office in Twin.
734-7219.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. You know, Doug, it does boil down, I think, and I'll argue with anybody, it boils down to you and I. We're the problem. We're the problem because we're not taking care of these people and leading them as their constituents.
Well, that's absolutely right, Zeb. In fact, I commend your caller and you having a caller give the phone number out. This is exactly what we need to do. We need to remember that our government officials need to fear our strength in our vote.
That's right.
They need to understand that we control things, and we need to show that through our votes. And when we do that, we change the course of their actions, because they then are responding to us and not to the good old boys club, as I like to call it, in Washington. And so when people like the caller who just called, talk about giving these people a call, it's very important, because these people fall into the trap in Washington of just being part of the club and ignoring those of us who are out here in the rest of the country that they're supposed to be serving.
Doug, final thoughts here, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I do value your opinion. We listened to the news conference this morning over in Sweden with our illustrious leader Obama answering questions about Syria, etc. We heard yesterday the hearings with Kerry and some of our military. Honestly, after you take a little bit of an appraisal of what was said, what wasn't said, what do you think over the next 7-day period prior to you coming on next week? What do you think is eventually going to happen?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure. I was pretty sure that Obama would attack Syria. I think we probably still will. He's looking for the right excuse to do so. He's getting a lot of pressure from Samantha Power, the UN ambassador for the U.S., to bomb them or to strike them. And I think that we're dealing with such a fragile ego on his part that a lot of this is him trying to be a tough guy. And so I think that at some point we're going to see it happen, whether it will be today, tomorrow, or next week, or a month from now, I don't know. But I think ultimately that's what we're going to see happen, whether we like it or not. And my fear, like you, Zeb, is that this could lead to much bigger problems for us, a much bigger involvement over there.
I agree. Doug, honestly, thank you for a very good conversation this morning. You are always an esteemed guest on this program. I know you're busy with other radio programs, but please always keep us on your docket. We appreciate you.
I will do that, Zeb. I enjoy being on your show too much to ever quit. So you're going to have to throw me off when the time comes.
All right.
Anyway, thank you very much. You have a great day.
Author of the Horse Sense blog and the book No Tomorrow is my dear friend Doug Johnson. God bless. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. You're saying, well, what do you mean? Why shouldn't I forget them? Well, because I'm telling you, they know all about life insurance. They know all about health insurance. They know all about retirement planning. They know all about employee benefits. And they know all about how to protect you, your family, and your business. So get a hold of them today. Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. Also, boy, they had an outstanding Labor Day sale at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. As a matter of fact, Deanne talked to him yesterday, and they said, whoa, did we have a lot of nice people coming down here for a great big weekend celebration on Labor Day. Well, the sale is continuing, and they're inviting you to come on down and just enjoy all the great specials that they have for you on hardwood flooring and all their carpeting and their bedroom sets, and of course the recliners and the living room sets. My goodness, the list goes on and on and on. All you have to do is just jump in the old pick-em-up truck, head on down to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley for the beautification and the comfort of your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Wow, we got a whole bunch of things in the news this morning we didn't even get a chance to talk about, and I'll mention this briefly. The absolute the devil, Ariel Castro, from Cleveland, Ohio, that had kept those women hostage in the basement. And, I mean, it's just such a pathetic story. I don't even want to go back into it again. He hung himself in his cell, and the devil is dead. A absolutely demonic person, Ariel Castro, hung himself in his cell in prison, and he is dead. A coward from the get-go, and would not face life in prison. We'll be with our next caller in just a moment. Stand by. I want to remind you, too, that our friends at Let's Ride, oh, boy, that's where the fun is sold. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and boy, oh, boy, they've got the 2014 bikes that are coming in every day, all the street bikes, dirt bikes, and they've got to have you come in and try out the new Can-Am four-seater side-by-side. Four-seater side-by-side. Oh, boy, you're going to love this, along with the Yamaha Viking side-by-side. They've got them all. You walk in that front door of that showroom and just kind of scan the whole thing. That's where the fun is sold. Stop in there today and see them at Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, and that's open 9 to 6 at Let's Ride. We have a very dear friend of mine on the air right now, and I'm going to ask him to talk up loud and clear this morning, and that would be my dear buddy George Mass. George, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Mr. Bell. I am doing great.
George, next week on Wednesday is a very special day. We're going to have a remote broadcast over at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And, of course, my broadcast starts at 8:06 in the morning. But before that, at 7 o'clock, I understand you're going to be playing Chef Boyardee.
Yes, I've met with Mr. Ramsey, and we're going to have biscuits and gravy breakfast over there from 7 to 9:30.
And you know what? Now, let's just stop right here, because, ladies and gentlemen, when his outfit rolls into a location, it is the size of a 24-wheeler, and I tell you what, when he starts up the grills and those chrome stacks are belching smoke, oh, look out, the food's going to be great. And you're going to be serving what on the menu?
We've got biscuits and gravy, coffee, milk, and orange juice.
Okay, and how much are you charging?
We're charging $3.
$3? You can't make that kind of a meal for $3. What are you talking about?
We can with the help of Ramsey's Heating and Electric.
All right. Now, all the net proceeds are going to go to the 3rd annual Zeb at the Ranch Christmas for Kids and also the Youth for Liberty, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're going to start at 7 o'clock in the morning, so you can get everybody going to work to help contribute, and it's only $3, and they can't miss it. It's going to be right out in front of Ramsey Heating and Electric. And are you going to have all the flags there, too?
Yes, the Declaration American Legion is scheduled to come in and put up some colors. I will be starting about 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure everything...
Speak up, George. You're getting too low. Speak up a little louder.
I will be starting at 5 o'clock, make sure everything's ready for 7, so everything goes off smoothly.
Okay.
Declaration American Legion is going to step up and put out a lot of flags, and it's it's going to be a fun day.
All right, now you're going to be there at Ramsey, Heating and Electric, from 7 to 9:30. And I'm going to be on the air from 8 to 11. And then you're going to pack up shop and you're going to move your grill over to Valleywide.
Yes, Valleywide is a very, very big supporter of the POW.
Okay.
And anyway, we got that coordinated to where we could do both of them. And it's a treat working with the public.
Well, you're going to be over there, and I understand you're going to have hamburgers for $1, and you're also going to have hot dogs, 2 for $1, and they're going to have in-store specials for Patriots Day next Wednesday. Proud to be an American at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, and a lot of in-store specials. And the proceeds from that lunch are going to go to the POW MIA, Rupert, right?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, tell us a little bit about the organization. You've been on the air so many times, and we've talked about POW MIA. Give us more information as to what's happening with your organization.
Well, Zeb, our main goal is to keep the prisoners of war and missing in action out forefront in the public, because if we don't, it gets shoved back on the shelf and nobody knows or even cares. And so our goal is to keep it out there until we get them all accounted for or home.
Now, George, you said something to me the other day that it just astounded me. How many American soldiers are still unaccounted for?
Over 87,000.
87,000. Now, from what wars, what period do those names stretch from?
World War II up.
World War II to the present, 87,000 names. You're telling me that nobody knows?
Nobody knows where that. We know we take North Korea on Chosin Lake. We lost 1,600 there. They won't let us go in and retrieve the remains. You know, it's a lot of politics, and I don't know. And then a lot of it too. I think the government's a little bit embarrassed to turn their back on them.
Stop right there, George. The government, our government, turned our back on soldiers because of politics. How could we be so cold and calloused to people that put on the uniform of the United States of America, served their country, and 87,000 people are still unaccounted for? That honestly blows my mind.
Yeah, it's disgraceful. It really is.
Are there organizations that are trying to find the information?
Yes, there are. There's here about a month ago they brought through DNA they brought in identified another POW, and I think it was back in New York somewhere. But one by one, we're slowly getting them in, but not fast enough.
George, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not trying to hang you out to dry here, but I think it's a question that needs to be asked. When you look at the various conflagrations and the wars and the conflicts, etc., do you in your heart of hearts still think that we have prisoners that are being held?
One for sure. That's Bo Bergdahl out of Haley. It's in Afghanistan. There's a possibility that some maybe from Vietnam era. I think the ones out of Korea in World War II is, with their age and everything, you're probably deceased.
Mm-hmm. But you still think there's an opportunity and or a chance that we have soldiers that are still languishing in prisons in other parts of the country?
Yes, I do. Zeb, you and I both was in the Vietnam era. We're getting up in age, but we're not that old.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some that's younger than us, so I really believe there's probably a few out there that, unless there's got to be some out there.
George, when you mentioned the word politics coming into play, I mean, what in the world do you mean by politics? Why isn't our country more involved in settling the names and helping the families come to grips with the demise of their soldiers? Why does politics play a part in this?
No, I'm trying to be the nice guy, like in North Korea, that little pudgy one over there.
Mm-hmm.
They had to just go and kick his butt and get our boys out of there, our remains. They just, they're no good to them anymore, I guess. They put it the cold way,
Mm-hmm.
What good are they?
Are we afraid, I'll use that word, are we afraid as a nation to stir the pot, so to speak, as far as saying and demanding we want to know? Is that why there's cowardice involved there?
I think so. They just don't want to stir the pot. And, you know, in North Korea, and I probably spoke to you this before, that MacArthur was in charge over there, and he whipped the North Koreans and wanted to pursue it further, and the president told him no, but he did anyway, and pushed the Koreans up to China, the border of China. China thought they was getting invaded, and they sent over 100,000 in and wiped us out. You know, and he should have been held up on war crimes.
Well, you know, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you're very articulate about what's going on in world affairs through the POWMIA organization. But now here we're looking at a situation, George, to where they didn't really close the door on the statement, boots on the ground, regarding Syria. What are your concerns about Syria and getting involved in another Middle Eastern mess?
Well, there's two things bother me, Zeb. If we get in there, we're going to have another mess that we're in right now. It's not going to get any better. And I talked to Gina earlier this morning. Saddam Hussein, we took him out. He was a tyrant. He was worthless. But is Afghanistan a better place today than they are now?
Well, now, wait a minute. Saddam Hussein, you're talking about Iraq.
Yeah, Iraq. Okay, if we take that yo-yo out in Syria, is that going to improve that? Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood would come in. Saddam Hussein did keep Iran in check. We took him out, and look at Iran today.
Well, you know, the whole Middle East is just nothing more than a quagmire, and in my opinion, nothing more than quicksand. And as the Bible has said and prophesied, and it's coming more true every day, coming to fruition, the sucking sound you hear is us getting involved more so, possibly leading up to Armageddon.
I agree. It's a shame. It's gut-wrenching to see those kids and the women, you know, get slaughtered.
Yeah.
But what do we do? If we go in there and wipe him out, Al-Qaeda's going to come in. Look at Iraq and Afghanistan. They kill their own people.
Absolutely.
So it's they don't have much value on life to me.
George, I want to go back just a minute. I don't think a lot of people realize this, but George was so instrumental, along with his wife Donna, in putting together and organizing the Youth for Liberty. And last year at our Best of the West breakfast, I was so impressed, not only with the breakfast and not only with all the people that showed up, but also by the patriotism shown by these youngsters in Youth for Liberty. Why did you take the time and effort to get started with these kids?
You and I are not going to save the world, Zeb. It's going to be these young ones. My Adam, which you know well, is patriotic as they come, and he is hungry for history and patriotism. We found other kids that is, and so this year we're branching out. I'm going to take Oakley. Jim Hartwell and Ben Wilson will have Burley. Vicki and Jerry Fikes will have Rupert. And we're trying to find somebody for the other towns to start a Youth for Liberty group in each town. And so that's why we're doing this fundraiser, trying to raise money so we can get their hats and shirts for them, because a lot of them can't afford it.
I agree. I think you're doing a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I also want to reiterate that while you're over at Valley White Home and Ranch, they said for the first 150 people who spend $10 at the store over at Valley White that day next Wednesday, they'll receive an American flag and a pocket knife for free. There you go.
Yeah, yep. Steve over there is just wonderful.
Yep.
If I can comment a little bit on Youth for Liberty, Zeb.
Yes.
We did your breakfast over there for the senators, representative. 3 days later, I had a call from Haley wanting the kids up there to post colors, so we went up, and it was awesome. Adam and I did the POW table ceremony. And anyway, it's just exploding. And on the sad note, Dick Clark was one of the people on the bottom floor helping get this going. We're going to lay him to rest today.
Oh, my. Well, our condolences to the family, and also, George, our thanks to you and your organization and all you do on behalf of the POWMIAs, and just being a real patriot. We're proud to have you on the program. Thanks so much this morning, and we're going to keep plugging it about next Wednesday.
Okay, thank you, Zeb, and we can't do it without the community.
All right, God bless you, my dear friend. Thank you. George Mass, one of our dear, dear friends, and they've done so much to help this community. Calls are welcome and appreciated right now at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I think what we'll do, we'll jump ahead and we'll do the weather real quick, a weather update, and then we've got some miscellaneous stories we're going to take care of this half hour, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any comments you'd like to make, give us a jingle at 436-2244. Time for the weather right now, and an update with MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you this half hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls, with Ryan Horsley. Oh, my goodness sakes, they've got all your hunting needs. Red's Trading Post in historic Old Town Twin Falls. They've been with the family since 1936. It's a Twin Falls original. Stop in at Red's. They know all about guns and can help you with all your needs, and they're always looking for used firearms, too. Give you a good deal. Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls. Here now is Michael Rogers Weather.
Hey, everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. It's going to be one of those situations where, in fact, I just found out the winter forecast for the 2013-2014 year, and not to take up a lot of your time because I'm not going to waste your time and take it for granted. It's looking pretty good for us. Not that wet, but then again, that's not good because we need the wet. Where am I going with this? We're getting ready to get into winter, but right now we got a nice day, and it's going to take us through the weekend. Look for a high today in the low 80s, make that the mid 80s, and it'll take us all the way through Saturday. So other than that, have yourself a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls, with Ryan Horsley and the crew. Red's Trading Post. You stop in and see them today. Oh, my. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, the one person we haven't had a chance to hardly talk to this morning is Gina. Gina, how are we coming through over there?
Coming through loud and clear?
Okay, I've still got a little, for some reason, I don't know whether the rain caused it or whatever, I'm getting a lot of distortion and crackly on my headsets. Maybe the line feed coming to me just evidently got too much moisture. I don't know.
Could have been the phone line, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I was going to ask you a question this morning.
Sure.
If you owned a business, okay, let's say you owned, like this couple did, a bakery, and you were a specialty at making wedding cakes.
Okay.
And you were sending cakes out to all kinds of happy couples. And then all of a sudden, walking in the door is a gay couple, and they order a cake for a wedding, and you say, no, I'm sorry, because I am not going to provide you with a cake. Perhaps you could try the bakery down the street, because this is against my religious belief. And from that point on, after you've said that, no, you will not make the cake, you were very polite about it, but you said, no, that's against my religious belief. I do not believe in gay unions or gay weddings. Thank you, but go down the street to the next bakery. You are being sued. You are being picketed. You are being boycotted. You are being shut down, and all because you stood up for your faith and your religion and said, no, thank you. We don't want that business, but go down the street to the next bakery. What would you do?
Start up another business.
That's exactly what this husband and wife did. They got upset and said, okay, fine. This bakery that we have called Sweet Cakes, if you're going to picket us, you're going to boycott us, you're going to condemn us, and you're going to sue us, we're going to shut it down. We're going to shut it down, and we'll go back to running it out of our house, and the devil be damned. And I think in this country, Gina, that we've lost sight of the fact that people should have the right to run their business the way they see fit and in accordance with their beliefs.
You know, you're not going to hear any argument out of me on that one. I think that... you know, our country is based on religious tolerance, and it is also based on tolerance, you know, across the board. So, with that being said, if some couple came in that was same-sex that wanted to get married, and I said, well, you know, I can't help you because it is against my beliefs, but however, here is another business that you might want to check out. You know, diverted that way, but I would still hold firm to my beliefs of, you know, you're allowed to do what you can do, I'm allowed to do what I can do, and we're not going to see eye to eye on this one, so you can go and check out this business right down here. They'd be more than happy to help you, and I will revert you over to them eye to eye. Yeah. You know, I'm cool. I don't need your money.
But to get a discrimination charge against you and to be sued and to have all the boycotts and everything, I find this to be absolutely abhorrent.
Well, you know, you and I, just because we're heterosexual, are being discriminated against.
that's the whole point. They are crying foul. They are crying that they're being discriminated against, but when in essence, really we are. As Christians that don't believe in their philosophy, we're being backed into the corner. We're being discriminated against, but we're not the ones that are crying foul and going to the courts and suing them. But we should be.
We should be. But you know why? Because we're tolerant.
That's right. We have a call.
Yeah, we do have a call.
All right.
Okay.
Maybe you're tolerant, sweetie, but you know I'm not.
I know you're not.
I know. We'll take this call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. I had my thought in my head, and it went away.
You know something, my dear? You should be in my body sometimes because I have that happen 37 times a day.
Oh, it's terrible. And I'll probably, as soon as I hang up, I'll probably remember my train of thought. But
well, no, but
it was about marriage and people being able to, run their own businesses. Oh, I know what it was. It was, our country was based on the law being. Everyone is created equal under the law. We're all protected equally. And that's where we've run into trouble, is that we have decided that this little group is better, so they need more protection. This little group is better, they need more. That's where we fouled this whole thing up. We have the perfect system to treat everyone equally, but we don't do it.
Absolutely. And now, those of us of faith that believe in what the Bible says, we're the ones that are being discriminated against, but we're not standing up and reversing the psychology against these people and taking them to court.
Exactly. I mean, we've just, it's happened incrementally over time, and now it's just gotten to the point where everybody's a special interest and everybody's a minority, and it's like, really? We have to stop the bus and say, you know what, we're all created equal, we all have equal protection, there's no special favors, there's no this or that, and we've got to get that way with our government too, get them back under the reign of the Constitution. And I was listening to that gentleman earlier, he's very articulate and has so much common sense, but, until we the people start corralling this whole thing in and demanding that they follow the Constitution and the rule of law, and we're going to have what we have.
I agree with you, and thank you. I'm glad that we got everything gathered up, and you found your thought, and you laid it out for us.
My marbles are back in the bag. Okay.
Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb, when I'm around, and I talk to everybody because I make it a point to, and I just tell them. I say, the reason why I'm doing this is because the a government of the people, by the people, for the people won't work if the people don't care. And I try to get a feel for where they are. And it says, if you don't engage in this situation, we're going to lose everything that we have. And I think you take for granted what this Constitution has given us. And during the course of the conversation, if gay and lesbians type of topic comes up, I ask them, what percentage of the population do you think is gay and lesbian? And they always give me a higher figure than what is true. It's 2.5%. It literally is nothing. And these people have so effectively controlled the agenda, along with the environmentalists, that we are sitting here letting them get away with it again. And when you see a sign, we refuse service to anyone, no shoes, no service, no shirt, no service. I guess you can't put a sign up, if you're, and say that, we refuse service to anybody, and it don't, you see, I mean, I could complain that because I don't have my shirt on that you're not serving me, or my shoes, or, you see, they get away with such crap.
Well,
it's amazing.
They have appealed to, and I think that their very sick and sinister and perverted lifestyle has permeated education, it's permeated the entertainment world, it's permeated everyday business, it's permeated politics, to the point where that 2.5% of the population, as you stated, has taken on the power of the other 97%. And that bothers me, that we're being dictated to and regulated by a very small, sick percentage of people that want to have their perverse lifestyles put in front of our kids in school, put in front of our television sets, put in front of a normalcy that is abnormal, and it never will be normal. And I'm going to fight it on this program as long as I can.
Well, like I've stated so many times before, would it not be good to let the children be innocent and play out in the yard or whatever it is they do to have fun and just be children than to be mulling over the fact of whether or not they're gay or lesbian when they're a fourth grader.
I agree with you.
Or younger.
I agree.
It's literally, we have gone to hell in a handbasket.
I agree, Randy.
One more thing quick. 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121 is the Capitol switchboard. You can talk to any congressman and senator you want, including Lindsey Graham and that thing from Arizona. And you can call them anywhere. And calling back east is way more effective than calling locally, and this is just a little information.
All right.
Thanks,
Randy, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Always on top of the numbers on how to contact our leadership. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I'm a bit confused. There was a veteran who had a service dog who went into a restaurant and was kicked out, even though it probably said service dogs welcome on the thing. So he went in there under the Act, Liberty for Disabilities Act, and he was kicked out because that restaurant owner said, no, you can't come in here with your dog at all. And yet the photographer in New Mexico, I think it was told they had to take photos for the same-sex union. And now it sounds like a cake decorator. So what happened? You're a vet. Thrown out.
You really brought up an interesting change of view here, and I saw that story you're referring to about our vet with the dog going into the restaurant, and I absolutely admire your thoughts on this as to why somebody hasn't correlated those two stories, or three stories, and asked why did the veteran get kicked out because of a service dog and helping the gentleman with his injuries, when at the same time this camera store owner and then also this bakery owner, they're subjected to scrutiny and suits and discrimination and a complete lack of intolerance because they wouldn't bake a cake for a gay couple. That's a very good analogy, and I wonder if the courts and the lawyers have really studied both of those and made an applicable type resource of stories so they could fight back. We need to start fighting back. We need to turn the tables. When these people are so quick to sue us as Christians, we need to be able to fight back and say, not so fast.
Amen.
God bless you, and I mean that for your call. Well thought. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That lady's on top of things. And I just think that all of us, when the left, the far secular left, wants to start throwing lawsuits, then we need to sit here and think, okay, all right, fine, let's turn it around. Let's turn the apple cart around and go after them. They're being discriminatory against us. They're being very one-sided against us. They're taking our rights away as Christians and members of a free society. Let's turn it around and nail them. But we're not doing that. But we need to look at this problem. It's kind of like this couple in Massachusetts. Quickly, I haven't got a lot of time. Atheist parents and some students in Massachusetts, they want to stop in the Acton-Boxborough Regional School District the reciting of the pledge with the words "under God." They said that it offends them. Well, then they and their lifestyle, they offend me. So let's countersue and come up with valid reasons as to why they're offensive to our society. If you want to fight a fire, maybe sometimes you got to light a bigger fire and fight back. And that's the one thing that Christians and the right don't do. They keep turning the other cheek. Well, I'm running out of cheeks. Next hour, we're going to have Darren Selnick, United States Air Force veteran, And he works with, and you've seen Pete on the television quite a bit. Pete Hegseth has been on my program a couple of times. Pete couldn't come on the show this morning because of another commitment with Fox News. And we're going to have a person that is with him, Darren Selnick, and I've seen Darren before too. We're going to be talking about the Veterans Administration. We're going to be talking about veterans and the issues that are in front of them, trying to get their benefits, etc. It's going to be very interesting at 10:06 this morning. And then at 10:30, I want to read you something that I think is fitting at this time of the year with the kids going back to school. I'm sure many of you have saw this or read this on the internet, and I'm going to read it. It's a dissertation about a principle that says, okay, enough is enough. We're going to run the school my way. And we're going to do that at 10:30 and then open it up for your comments. We'll be back in just about 3 minutes. 6 minutes, pardon me. Oh my, welcome back. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch. Look outside, man, it is pretty outside. Blue sky, maybe a thunder bumper later on today. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, along with some great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And, of course, our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. What's cooking at the Chadwick today, the Chadwick Sports Grill? Well, I'll tell you what, today being Wednesday, September 4th, they've got a senior citizen dinner special Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., only $5.95. $5.95? Wow. Now that is economical. Today they're going to have chicken cordon bleu with mashed potatoes, veggies, and super salad. Chicken cordon bleu. Going to be great. Going to be delicious. You're going to love the people in the atmosphere at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Very, very good place to eat. All right, let's go to the phone lines right now, and kind of a last-minute guess, but I really appreciate the work that they performed to try to get this gentleman on the air this morning. Darren Selnick, United States Air Force veteran and a voice for Concerned Veterans for America. Good morning, Darren. How are you?
I am great. It's great to be on your show today.
Well, it's my pleasure, sir. And without further ado, give us a little background about Darren Selnick and your involvement with the Concerned Veterans for America.
Yes, I'm a Air Force veteran. I also was a special assistant to the secretary at the VA, actually to 3 secretaries from 2001 to 2009. So I know all the good, the bad, and the ugly about what's going on at the VA. And since I left the government in 2009, I've been working with different veterans organizations, like Concerned Veterans for America, to make sure my fellow veterans get the benefits and that's due them.
You know, Darren, I really like your analogy, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all we need is Clint Eastwood to step out on stage, because lately it seems like it's the ugly. The VA does not seem to be managed well at all, or managed in any sense. They're backlogged, 155% on their cases, and with all the negativity that's going on with the VA, how dare they let the American public know that they were giving raise bonuses to some of their workers? Elaborate on some of those points, if you would, please.
Well, in the last 4 years, the backlog of the claims benefits, and you know, that's, for those who don't understand when we talk about a claims benefit, it's basically, you know, you go out to war, you get hurt, you come back out, and you get your compensation for PTSD, for losing an arm, you know, compensation, and if you don't survive, it's your spouse and your children. So when you don't get that claim paid in a timely and accurate manner, it means you're suffering, because if you're 100% disabled, it means you can't work, and so some veterans have gone homeless because of that, and matter of fact, 53 veterans a day die before their claims get taken care of. So it just to show how the problem's gotten worse. In 2009, we had an overall number of claims pending over 400,000, and today it's close to 800,000. And the official backlog, which means you got to give them 4 months to handle it, was 150,000 back then, and and now it's almost 480,000. So it's a huge backlog, and what that means is the average veteran's waiting up to close to a year just to get their claim reviewed and looked at. But there's also a 10% official error rate, which means out of 1 million claims that they process each year, 100,000 veterans are getting their claim inaccurately processed and not getting what they deserve. And that's the basics. In terms of the bonuses, that's a systemic problem that's been there a long time, and most people wouldn't even think the government would give bonuses. Certainly when I was in the Air Force, we didn't get bonuses for serving our country. We didn't expect it. So I was shocked when I went to the VA and saw the bonuses. But as bad as that is, bonuses are not tied to actual performance. So you've got millions of bonuses paid to claims processors and managers, up to $30,000 for some managers, when their numbers are going bad, when they're getting worse. And that's just ridiculous.
Well, Darren, okay, that's the overall bleak picture as to what's going on right now. But, okay, my question would be, why and how has this been allowed to happen and grow like a cancer? Why hasn't somebody tooted the whistle on them and said, hey, wait a minute, boys, out of the huddle, no more football game until we clean this mess up? How come this has been allowed to grow and fester like a cancer?
Well, the VA is very good at covering its tracks, and organizations like Concerned Veterans for America have been blowing the whistles, and that's been, and getting congressmen like Congressman Jeff Miller, who heads up the Veterans Committee, and others to do it. We're doing bus tours, we're having events, we're doing radio shows, we're working with, AMVETS, American Legion, VFW, other organizations, to continue to blow the whistle. Having worked in the VA, I know that the VA is very good at spinning numbers, covering its tracks, and delaying, and saying that it just needs more money. Well, it's gotten all the money it's needed. It's got a 40% increase in the last 4 years. There's been no budget cuts. But basically, when you say, why is it the way it is? It's the way it is because the VA has basically been doing poor training, poor staffing, poor leadership, and poor management.
Okay, now, with those things being said, poor management, poor training, poor staffing, et cetera, poor management again, why? I mean, why haven't heads rolled? I mean, why hasn't somebody said, wait a minute, this is not being run efficiently, we're 155% backlogged in cases, and yet they'll take $5.5 million and give it out in bonuses? You would think the American public would be outraged and say, clean it up or we'll clean it up.
No, you're dead right, and we've been saying that, and we had hoped that Shinseki would do some cleaning of the house, and when it became obvious that he wasn't, we said, look, the buck's got to stop somewhere, and so the buck's got to stop with Shinseki, so either he needs to clean house or he needs to go and bring someone in who will. Well, he won't clean house. We're also calling for reform because it's almost, I was there, it's almost impossible to fire anybody in the civil service. And I know the way these people work, and unless you do some firings, unless you go ahead and put people in, I mean, Shinseki, keeps saying, give me more time, give me more this, give me more that, but look, he was a battlefield commander. If you can't take the hill, you put in someone in who can, and you get rid of that person. And more and more of the American people are signing petitions, and, we keep pushing it, and the outcry keeps getting bigger. But you're right. Heads do need to roll so people know this is serious, so the bureaucracy knows that this is serious, so that they will do what they need to do instead of continuing to play the games that they're continuing to play.
Darren, when you look at the overall picture of our vets and our military in general, I mean, we're looking at right now, God help us, possible involvement, and no matter what they say in regards to John Kerry and our illustrious President Obama, no more boots on the ground in Syria, but I'm not so sure that I trust those statements. What about our military? If they're coming home and they're backlogged for over a year and a half or possibly even 2 years, and financially they're suffering and they're losing their homes and everything, pretty soon when we need troops, the well's going to be dry. What's going to happen then?
Well, it's the hollow force of the 70s all over again. I mean, if you love Jimmy Carter and the hollow force of then, you're really going to love now. Yeah, I stay in touch with lots of active duty. Morale is at an all-time low. The good people are just retiring. They don't have the parts, and they're tired and they're burnt up and they're fed out. They're fed up. We won't have the well. Who's going to go ahead and volunteer for a force that once you serve your country honorably, you're given a pink slip? 100,000 pink slips are being handed as we speak. The benefits are being taken away on active duty, and then you get off active duty, and then it's hard to claim your benefits that you've earned. Yeah, it's a hollow force. It's bad news, and it's really hurting our national defense.
But Darren, let's go right to the top, right to the very top. You're sitting right now, let's suppose, in the Oval Office. What would you tell Obama? Would you slam your fist down and say, Mr. President, you're not addressing the problem for people that are giving their lives and limbs for you in this country? Why is this mess allowed to happen? Has anybody ever got to the president, got to the people in charge, and said, we need to clean this thing up?
To tell you the truth, from what I've heard, President Obama has a lot of yes guys, and those who aren't yes guys leave real quickly. He does what he wants to do, and unfortunately, we have at the very top of the military, which is part of the problem, we have a bunch of four-star generals who say yes, and we don't have any Billy Mitchells. We don't have anybody saying, hey, you know what, I'm not going to see you. Stop you from doing this in the military. I'm going to resign. We don't have that leadership right now, and it's sad. But that's why we went to the White House and we delivered a petition, and we asked for our own meeting with the White House staff to tell them straight out, this can't stand. And I wish we had some top brass that would say, Mr. President, you're destroying our military, you're destroying our veterans, and you're destroying our ability for our country to fight. And Syria is a good example of what's happening in Syria is what's happening in the VA, what's happening in DOD. It's just incompetence everywhere.
Let me ask you this, Darren. Is the American public naive? Is the American public misinformed? Or is the American public living in Alice in Wonderland? They just don't care that more Americans aren't outraged the way our vets are being taken care of.
Well, I think the American people, once they know, they really do care. But if you're watching the regular news, you're not hearing this. So unless you happen to be listening to like your show and some other stuff that we've done, a great percentage of the American people have just not really heard what's going on. They're fed a constant round of propaganda that says everything is okay and everything's working well. And they're struggling. It's a bad economy. They're struggling to make a living, and so it's to educate the American people so that they know. I think once they know, they will let it be known.
What more can people like me and other radio programs, television programs, newspapers, etc., what more could and should we be doing to lay out the plight of what's happening to our veterans?
Well, we have some great information on our website, concernedveteransforamerica.org. We have a number of short videos. Passing those videos along will help, educate the public. We have lots of articles, opinion pieces with our partners. So, passing that out, getting the word, and, if people just hear something once, they forget about it. But it's getting this message out over and over and over and to your friends, and blogging it and Facebooking it and however social media you can get it, and calling your congressman and your senator and calling the White House and continue to push and educate and just continue to do it.
I want to go back just a moment, if I could, Darren, in regards to the people that actually work in the VA, the people that are, according to some of the stories I've read that you have written in regards to how they kind of shelve some of the cases and make themselves look good in the first part of the month, and then they languish doing nothing the last part of the month. Why isn't there more oversight? Why aren't congressional people saying, wait a minute, whether it's our Congressman Mike Simpson from Idaho or whether it's Dornan or anybody else, why aren't they saying, wait a minute, we're going to stop this today and clean it up, and if you want to work for the VA, you better work or you're out the door? Why aren't more people in politics getting concerned with this?
Well, I think a lot of them are so overwhelmed with all the other issues, Syria, Obamacare, that sometimes it takes a back burner. The other thing is that most people have no clue how the federal government actually works, and so they really don't understand what's going on. But pressure is building. I mean, we've been pushing reform. We would like to see the congressional hearings. We'd like to see a BRAC type situation where we do have an independent commission go ahead and really push this issue, recommend reforms, because you're right. I mean, how can you continue to let the government operate this way? The only way to permanently fix the A is to reform it. The only way to do reform is to find out what's going on from independent experts that will go ahead and make the proper recommendations. It's been done in the past and worked. It can be done in the future. But once again, it's pushing your congressman to make this a top priority, to get those hearings going, to get that panel commission recommended and moving, and to keep this at the top of the issue.
Mm-hmm. Now, Darren, I'm going to be a little naive on something myself. I would imagine that with more of Obamacare coming down the pike, with the full inception of Obamacare in 2014, I would imagine that's going to have a profound effect on the care and also the claims for the VA. Am I right or wrong?
Well, the propaganda the VA says is that, it's not going to affect you in one bit. So we'll have to see. I mean, if you're in the VA system, you're in the VA system. But you have good doctors and nurses in the VA system, but it's not just the claims processing that's having trouble. It's the health care, long waits to go see a specialist. And then there's been some scandals at the hospitals themselves, including huge cost overruns in building the hospitals. So in some aspects of the VA system is kind of foretells what's going to happen in some of the Obamacare. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to, I'm retired and on TRICARE. They keep trying to up the money to basically make it unaffordable to push everyone into the Obamacare system. So there's what they say, but I think what they're going to do in a practical matter is once Obamacare is fully implemented, they're going to push everyone onto government health care as much as they can, and that's going to include the veterans, and they'll do it piece by piece.
Darren, I don't mean to put you on the spot on this question, but being that you are retired military, that you've served our country, and now you're serving the vets through Concerned Veterans for America, are you optimistic or pessimistic that this problem can be solved and we can give better care to our veterans?
Well, that's kind of a two-parter. Am I optimistic the problem can be solved? Yes. The VA has undergone great shifts in the past, in the 90s, and we had a problem with the claims in 2000, which was fixed for 4 or 5 years. So I'm optimistic that we have the smarts, we have the knowledge, we have the people, and it can be fixed and it can be done. What I'm pessimistic about, though, is the will and the determination to see this out to make sure that happens. And so, I'm a fighter, and all veterans are fighters, and supporters are great. And so that's why we're going to continue to push, and we're not going to stop, and we're not going to give up. And so I'm a little pessimistic in the short term that we're going to get the real solutions, but I'm optimistic in the long term that we will make it happen and we'll get the real reform that we need.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Darren Selnick, with the Concerned Veterans for America. I think you did a wonderful job here this morning, and don't hesitate. If I can do anything on this program, no matter how big or how small, let us know, and we'll serve any way we can.
No, that is a great offer. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, Darren Selnick with the Concerned Veterans for America, and appreciate him very much. God bless for being on the program this morning. Isn't it just absolutely terrible that our veterans come home to be basically nothing more than stacks of paper? They come home to be nothing more than files piled on a desk. And then you get some guy that's just, or a woman, that just is a paper shuffler and, well, we'll try this file today. Oh, that looks like it's going to be a little lengthy and a little troublesome. We'll try a different file. And they're backlogged. in serving our veterans with the benefits they deserve over 155%. And yet these people that work for the VA are being given bonuses which equivalated to over $5.5 million in bonuses. For what? Sloppy service? For what? Not getting the job done? For what? Making sure they keep their eye on the clock and 4 o'clock runs around and they're out of there at 3:55? Is that what they're getting bonuses for? And our veterans are losing their homes. They're losing their financial standing. They're losing their credit ratings. They're losing the health care that's supposed to be dispatched to them. For what? People that can't do the job? And people that are so secure in their jobs that they can't be fired? What in the world is going on that you got a bunch of cancerous amoebic cells leaching onto the system, getting paid, and then getting paid bonuses for not doing a job? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. I'm going to take a little bit of... I'm just going to go against what you've got on there. I use the VA healthcare system. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I find it to be a very, very good system. I use Salt Lake exclusively, and they, other than when I first signed up, and that was kind of a lengthy period to get registered into the VA. Since then, I haven't encountered these problems that you're talking about. I haven't. They've been very, very good program for, on my what I say. I mean, sometimes you have to wait for an appointment, but as long as you follow through, the people, no matter what time of the month it is, they seem to take care. I've had operations. I've had a lot of things, and I personally believe they're doing a very, very good job but that's on my side.
Well, and I appreciate your call, but I think when you look at the national average right now, and sir, I think you'd have to agree with me on this, when you look at the national average of being 155% behind on backlog cases that are just being shuffled from one desk to another, and you hear the stories about people losing their homes and basically almost losing their families because the benefits aren't being taken care of, and you look at the slovenly approach, and I'm not saying in your particular case, but basically in general, the slovenly approach as to where our veterans are not being taken care of, and yet these people still get raises and bonuses. Why?
I agree with you on that, Jeff, and I'd like to debate you on some of that because I have a theory on why some of those cases are backlogged, but I don't want to get into it. It'd take too long on your program, but
don't you agree with me, though, sir, one point that we can agree on this morning, and I'm glad. I'm glad for you that your case was basically expedited through for your safety and security. But wouldn't you agree with me that if they're behind 155% in backlog cases, it says a couple of things. Number one, the people aren't doing the job, or they don't have enough good people. Number two, the management is not doing the job of overseeing the folks to make sure the caseloads don't get backload. It sounds to me like it needs a complete review and heads should roll.
On that point, Zeb, I'll agree with you completely. But that's the only point that I think that you can agree on. But like I say, to me, there's a reason for that also. That not so much is there, but, well, I just have to talk to you.
Well, you call me anytime.
On there to just my thoughts on that is what I'm trying to say.
All right, well, I'll tell you something, sir. I do appreciate your call. That was very nice of you to call and spend some time with us. Do it again. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Don't forget our friends at CSI's new truck driving school. What am I talking about? Well, if you'd like to start earning $30,000 to $40,000 a year in as little as 4 or 5 weeks, well, then you call Lucky Bourne at CSI's new Sage Truck Driving School in Burley right now. 878-5802. 878-5802. You'll get one-on-one over-the-road training and all the necessary endorsements. And when you've earned your CDL, their team will even help you get your first truck driving job. New classes begin every week. Call Lucky Bourne right now at the new CSI Sage Truck Driving School in Burley, 878-5802. We're going to take a break. Be back in 3 minutes. Don't go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much. Welcome back. And again, I want to remind you about Sportsman's Warehouse. And, of course, they celebrate everything for the outdoors. Whether you're into hunting, archery, fishing, camping, boating, you name it, they're going to have everything you're looking for. Quality gear giving you the edge. It's the great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, 737-9900 with my old buddy Reese Widmeyer. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
I missed part of that VA deal, and I had Polly in the doctor, so I want to comment on what I do here and what I read this morning. I am so damn disgusted with the way the veterans have been treating these boys that's come back from there, even including back in my times. It's ridiculous what's going on. Anytime you sit in there and have a nurse abuse a patient, that nurse should be horsewhipped and kicked clear out of the service.
Now, when you say abuse, let's be more definitive and more specific. What are you talking about?
Well, I said in the paper this morning that the nurse was actually abusing that soldier, that veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And he could be stomping on him. She could be withholding his medication, and they fired her. So something had to be going on.
Well, it could be even verbal abuse.
Yeah. And just like when I first went down Salt Lake, man, I thought I was getting a good deal having a nurse or a doctor woman. Come to find out she was a student at the University of Utah.
So you are a little bit different in your attitude about the VA than opposed to my previous caller that said he had nothing but good things to say about the VA.
I sure am, because if I'd have kept on their program with their medication the way they was doing it, I would be dead by now, and that's the God's awful truth.
Well, let me ask you this then. We had Darren Selnick with the Concerned Veterans for America on the air, and he works with Pete Hegseth, and I know you've seen Pete on the program, and he's been on my show in past times. But when you talk about being 155% backlogged, and they're not keeping up, they're not getting the benefits out, veterans are having to wait a year and a half or more, and they're losing their homes and everything else, and they're not getting their treatment, and yet the VA passes out bonuses to the employees of over $5.5 million. Al, there's something really wrong here.
That's one reason I am upset and discouraged with them, and just like the last time I went to the VA up in Pocatello, I'm sitting there waiting my turn. This kid come in a wheelchair, all shaky and that. He needed help. The receptionist finally told him, she says, well, we can't wait on you for another 6 or 7 weeks. I said, bull, and I walked up and said, you give him my slot, I'm out of here, and I walked out of that VA office, and I ain't been back since.
What is the problem, though, Al? I mean, let's be really defined here. What is the problem? Is it poor people trying to do a massive job? Is it untrained people? Is it lack of management? What is the problem?
Most of it's untrained personnel working in the office. That's my God-honest opinion.
And what can be done to change all this?
Get somebody in there that can, like even your nurses coming out of the Army and the Air Force and that, they're qualified to do that kind of stuff. Let them do it. But they bring in these people off the streets, and I know that one down in Salt Lake was just what it was, an off-the-street person. She didn't know her damn butt from a hole in the ground, yet she was sitting there shuffling papers.
So, but basically you've got to start at the top, don't you, with better management?
Yes. And they do get good doctors in there. Then what do? They send them back to Massachusetts to some place to the Mayo Clinic that don't do a bit of good for the veterans. So what are you going to do? I mean, they just keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And that's one reason I quit them. Thank God I did, because now I'm under better care. It's cost me less money, and I'm doing a hell of a lot better, and I'm going to hit 80 years old this month, buddy boy, and they said I'd be dead at 40.
But, Al, and again, kudos to you, and especially a happy birthday to you coming up. But you can't just quit and make the problem better. In other words, what I'm saying is we've got to look at this problem that's exacerbating itself. It's getting bigger like a cancer because our troops are coming home and they're not being served. We've got to change this somehow.
I know it. It's been going on for a long time. I seen kids down in Kerry when I was at Letterman Hospital for some treatment for a kidney breakage. And that kid come over here and he had both legs completely shot off. And I'm telling you, he was sitting in pain constantly, and there's nothing he could do about it. He asked me, he said, Al, he said, for hell's sake, put me out of my misery. I said, Sarge, I wish the hell I could.
Yeah. But when you look at the overall picture, it's not just the Obama administration that's caused this problem. It's been a lack of caring for many previous administrations. So how do I make an effort to try to let them know they better clean up their act? What can we do?
Well, I don't know, because you take and think back. Look what's going on. I mean, you got to get qualified people. And these people that sit there on Congress and all that stuff, appointing these people to these offices, they don't vet them out. They don't check their backgrounds or a damn thing. Or Kerry, if they'd have done their job, Kerry would not be in the Secretary of State now. He would be in prison like he should have been.
I can't argue that. Of course, one can only wish.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's from the top down.
Well,
every time you give us a lazy person behind the desk, probably sitting there doing her fingernails and stuff, a bonus for doing nothing. How about giving them bonuses to the people that deserve it, the veterans that have fought to keep this country alive?
Well, and there you bring up an excellent point, because that was part of my analogy with Darren. $5.5 million, Al, that would go a long way within a state like Idaho or maybe Wisconsin, Illinois, or whatever, to help defray a lot of the benefit problems that they have.
I just got tired of being all doped up, because they just pill, just up them, and then finally I got tired of it. And then when they did that to that kid, I said, that's it. I washed my hands of it.
I appreciate your calls this morning. I just wish, honestly, there was something more we could all do to put the pressure on them to clean up their act.
I wish we could, too.
Thanks, Al. God bless. Thank you. Yeah, maybe I'm missing something here. But our people, our United States citizens, our young men and women fight and serve our country, put their lives on the line, and then they come home and they're nothing more than a number or a file. And the files keep getting shuffled, maybe from Dan's desk over to Pete's desk, from Pete's desk over to Betty's desk, and they're backlogged 155%. And our veterans are not getting their benefits, and they're suffering, and they're losing their homes, they're not getting their medication, and it's got to start at the top. We need to clean house. It's just like government. It's bloated, like a big old fat cow. And we've got to clean up the mess. How dare we sit here, you and I, and everybody, and enjoy all the freedoms that we have in this country, all the comforts and amenities that we have in this country, and we'll get up after this program and I'll run into town, and I'll probably have lunch with some business people, and stop and patronize some stores, and then I'll come back home comfortable, when at the same time our vets are coming home, and we're not doing anything to help them and their situation. We're letting a bureaucracy run amok, and we're not slamming our fists down on the table and saying, okay, that's enough. That's enough. Back up the bus, Gus, and if you don't know how to back it up, we'll find somebody else to drive and we'll fire you. It's appalling that we're not running this country as efficiently as it could be. We're letting leeches and deadbeats, and that's true in politics also, run and ruin this country. Give me a call and let me have your thoughts. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I think what we'll do real quick is we'll have an update with Michael Rogers Weather. I'll be right back.
Everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. It's going to be one of those situations where, in fact, I just found out, winter forecast for the 2013-2014 year, and not to take up a lot of your time, because I'm not going to waste your time and take it for granted. It's looking pretty good for us. Not that wet, but then again, that's not good because we need the wet. Where am I going with this? Well, getting ready to get into winter, but right now we got a nice day, and it's going to take us through the weekend. Look for a high today in the low 80s, make that the mid-80s, and it'll take us all the way through Saturday. So other than that, have yourself a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. MichaelRogersWeather.com with a weather update right here for us this morning. You know, Gina, I had something else planned for this half hour, but we've had that changed. I think in time I probably couldn't do that 4 or 5 page dissertation about the new principal at the school, but I'll try to get that in sometime tomorrow. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I understand we're going to have a guest at 10:30 tomorrow that we've been working on for quite some time.
I'm very, very excited, and I'm going to be emailing you right after the show all of the subsequent information.
You know, can you take the dial that controls the feed to me and jiggle it back and forth a little bit on the feed line? Because I can barely make out what you and other people are saying. Yeah,
Maybe I just need to turn myself up.
Boy. Wait a minute. Try that again.
Did that work for you?
It's still a little scratchy, but it's not as scratchy.
Okay.
All right.
Let's keep on fiddling.
Okay. And do we have another call?
Nope. Just me and you, babe.
Okay. Just me and you. We sound like Sonny and Cher.
I've got you, babe.
Hey, you know, now there's an interesting topic right there.
Sonny and Cher?
Yeah, well, not just Sonny and Cher, but back in my day of music growing up, there were a lot of groups, and male and female groups, duets, that you just don't see anything like that anymore.
You don't. Honestly, you don't anymore, and that's kind of a sad thing. Of course, you do have the band Kerry, but those are brothers and sisters. But as far as actual couples, you just really don't see that anymore.
But think about Sonny and Cher. Their stage presence involved both of them standing at one microphone and singing their song, I Got You, Babe, and all this kind of stuff. But today, like you mentioned, the brothers and sisters like the band Perry, you know, each has got their own microphone, each has got basically their own instrument, and they're off on single tangents making one song. Right. But in Sonny and Cher and some of the older 60s venue artists, look at the difference of music then as compared to now. And I will say this, and I'll take heat for this, the songs back then were better.
Honestly, you're right, because a lot of the songs today are remakes of the songs from yesterday.
Oh, yeah, by far. Yeah, I mean, I don't care if you take the Beatles tunes. I don't care if you take the Beach Boys. I don't care if you take Sonny and Cher. I don't care who you're looking at from the 60s and 70s. A lot of that music has been done over and over again because the orchestration and the actual makeup of the song was so doggone good it needed to be remade many times over.
I have to agree. I kind of like all of the old school music. Of course, that's what I was raised on with my mom, and so, you know, I really enjoy all of that.
Now, I got to ask you, you're probably a child of the 80s 70s. Teen music. 70s?
70s.
All right. Now, go ahead and give me one of the top tunes that you liked when you were growing up.
Top tunes that I liked, Jim Croce, Time in a Bottle.
That's good. That's a good song.
Of course, all of Moody Blues.
Oh, absolutely excellent.
James Taylor. Gosh, my mom just listened to a lot of stuff. John Denver, honestly, one of my favorites. I love Annie's song. Boy, you're making me delve back into the recesses of my mind here.
But think about what you're picking out songs that were excellent songs, great music, great writing, and one other thing that we don't have today, in my opinion, great orchestration.
Bingo.
You agree with me?
I do, because honestly, the full ensemble of a true band and a true orchestra is not really used anymore. It is in, movies and things like that when they're making, the theme tracks and everything. But in everyday kind of pop, you really don't hear the trumpets. You don't hear the violins. You don't hear all of the background music that would have been there, say, 50 years ago.
And, People are going to laugh and snicker when I say this. I've talked about it before. But honestly, a lot of the big rock groups, and I hate to use the word rock there, but big music groups from the 60s and 70s that had outstanding songs, they used the orchestration. They used the trumpets. They used the guitars. They used the drums. They used the saxophones. They used that, and quite frankly, it was almost like an upbeat rock and roll Lawrence Welk.
I have to agree. I really, really do. And now
it surprises me you agree with that.
Yeah, I know, huh? You can pick yourself up off the floor.
Pardon me, but I got plywood stuck in my ear.
The music of today is so different than it was back then. Of course, today now it's a lot of it is honestly for me overly produced. Some of it I like, most of it I don't. If you have to digitally enhance or alter your voice, what's the point?
Now, you really touched on it there, because I have, through the course of my announcing career, I have been asked to be the master of ceremonies for many, many concerts, whether it's Garth Brooks or whether it was Conway Twitty or whether it was Dolly Parton or whether it was Randy Travis, etc. Now, the reason I tend to lean towards the country mode in these concerts is that I didn't hear the enhancement, the electronic enhancement. These guys and gals could sing the songs over the microphones at a rodeo arena with 12,000 people, and it sounded doggone close to the actual recording. But I think you will agree with me, in modern times, there are notes that some of these singers are hitting thanks to electronic enhancement you ain't going to hear at a concert.
Okay, so case in point, and I don't know if you know who Whitesnake is.
I do.
Okay,
I do.
So rock, big hair band from the 80s. And when they sing or perform the song, Here We Go Again, or Here I Go Again, he's got this really, really high note, the signature high note of the song, that he can't hit. He's never been able to hit because it is a digital enhancement.
There you go.
And it's so common. So if you have to have your voice digitally enhanced for a song, then why do it? If it can't be you, and if you can't perform that song day in, day out, then why?
I have heard more people come to me after a concert and said, well, holy smokes, I went to so-and-so's concert and he couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. Well, the fact is, a lot of people don't realize the electronic enhancement and the actual hiding of their lack of being able to sing is on the record. But boy, when you hear them in person at a concert, it's going to take some of the nails out of the wall.
Yeah, it's glaringly obvious when a performer cannot perform their songs that they were in the studio recording. And a lot of it is, number one, digital enhancement. Number two, sometimes they have a phenomenal producer and a really great backup band.
I agree with you.
We've got a phone call.
Okay, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb, I got a comment for you on this thing. I'm a musician, and, what's going to happen when we lose B.B. King and say Eddie Van Halen, Eric Clapton? If you listen to today's music, there's no lead stuff. There's no forthcoming guy that's really standing out there. That art is going to die.
All right, well, wait a minute. Let me back up on your analogy a little bit and also throw into the fray, I think, one of the greatest guitar players that I have ever witnessed in person. He was known for his television on Hee Haw. He was known for some of his songs, but he isn't respected, I don't think, for his guitar and banjo playing the way it should be, and that's Roy Clark.
Roy Clark?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Roy Clark was a phenomenal musician, not only a guitar player, but, music is, she mentioned Jim Croce, one of the finest guitar players, unrespected. I've been playing a long time, and I still can't duplicate his stuff. I had 3 hands.
Let me ask you a question there, though, about duplication. As an artist and as a musician, and see, I took guitar lessons for a while, and I realized that I had about as much talent and ability as a dead worm laying on the sidewalk in 90-degree heat. But I respect people like you, but when you look at an artist and you say, gee, I'd like to be able to play the guitar like Jimi Hendrix or Roy Clark or something like that, why can't you, if you enhance what they did into your learning, why can't you do that?
Well, I don't know. It's complicated. You know, there's some of these guys that, you know, enhancements, like you say, the digital stuff. It's sky's the limit. You know, I've recorded before, and the producer, technician, we can make you sound like, you know, you won't even recognize this as being you guys. That's how good we're going to make you sound. And it's kind of, we've got to be able to reproduce this.
Yep.
You know, if we can't produce this live, it's just going to hurt us.
But aren't you saying then, caller, that the way music is today is basically phony to the consumer?
More ways than you know. Very much so.
I appreciate your call, and you just keep on picking, and one of these days I want to be able to hear you play. I thought one night we were going to have you over there, but I know who I'm talking to, and I've got a lot of respect for you, and I wish you the best with your musical career.
I appreciate it, Deb. Have a great day.
God bless you. You know, Gene, I'll pose the same question to you that I did to the caller right there. It's kind of a phony and fraud atmosphere that the public hears on the radio, because that's not what they're going to get in person at a concert.
No, and honestly, that hurts overall. It hurts the artists, because when people, they're so excited because they heard just the best song on the radio, and they're so excited to go and hear this artist, and then when they see him in person, and this has happened to me many times, you see him in person and you're like...
I was recently at a concert, and I'm hesitant to mention the name, because I have some dear friends over on the north side of the river that we invited as guests to go with us that night before the rodeo performance.
Okay.
And I will just say that due to the fact that I think this artist took advantage of perhaps a couple of toddies prior to the concert, and also due to the fact that the artist had used a lot of musical enhancement on the recordings, when he went to sing some of those songs at that live concert, my guests and my wife and I looked at each other like, hey, this ain't what we expected.
No, and I mean, honestly, and overall, that hurts the artist's sellability.
Absolutely. I would never buy another record from a guy. Ever.
You know, and that's exactly why. Because, okay, so you loved him, and you loved what he performed on, you know, what you heard on the radio.
Yep.
So you're so excited to go to this concert. You go to this concert, and it's like somebody pops your balloon, because that is not what you were expecting to hear.
Well, I'll tell you a story about Garth Brooks, and the first time I met him, it was kind of a funny, quick story, and I've only got a minute here, but I was doing a rodeo back at Sykeston, Missouri, and he was the featured act. I didn't know that. I had never met him. It was before he really became the A1 national superstar. Mm-hmm. And we were up doing a sound check in the announcer stand the night before the rodeo, and up comes this guy wearing a T-shirt and a baseball cap, and he said, I have some information about the singer for tomorrow night. Do you have time to look it over? And I was in kind of a hurry, and I said, no, I don't right now. And he said, well, gee, I won't be able to come back up later on. And I said, okay, fine, give it to me. And I read it over, and all the accolades about he's a recording artist with this company and everything. And I said, there, thank you very much. And I looked at the bottom, and it said, introduce Garth Brooks. And I said, who are you? And he said, I'm Garth Brooks.
And you're like, oh, my bad.
Yeah, and we've kind of been, I haven't seen him much in the last couple of years, but I got to know him fairly well, and he's a very nice guy, but you feel kind of funny. But his concert was one that you could have taken off the stage at that rodeo and put on a record, and it would have been the same thing.
Honestly, I went to a couple Garth Brooks concerts way back in the 90s, and honestly, he is a true performer. He can perform the exact same songs the exact same way that you're going to hear on the album, and he'll do it live.
Absolutely. That was a good discussion about music. I'm glad we had that. Thank you very much.
By the way, if nobody knows, we're going tomorrow. It's John McEwen with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band at 10:30.
Absolutely going to be fun, too. Thank you, Gina.
A lot of fun.
Thank you. Don't forget big tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my. I'm talking all the tires on sale. I'm talking about the Ultra Z900 passenger car tire on sale right now. I'm talking about, of course, the, let's pick another one for the pickup, shall we? How about the Open Country AT2? Oh, boy, this is really a nice tire. 40% more tread on sale, $159.47 on sale right now at all the locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline and Twin, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best! Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I got to run. That's an oxymoron. I got to leave right now, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. The way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. See you then.